Welcome. In this video, I'm diving into what the principle of gender is in the 7 Hermetic Principles. I'm diving into how you can apply this principle to your life so you can manifest the things that you want and the spiritual meaning behind this principle in the Kybalion. Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name's Gabby and I'm here to help you be the hero of your story. When it comes to being the hero of your story, the Kybalion, which is this ancient teaching that goes back way further back than any religion, can be a great foundation for the wisdom and teachings that can help us to embrace our hero's nature, the part of us that is capable of turning our obstacles in life into opportunities for us to manifest the lives we want. The first principle of the 7 Hermetic Principles is all about the principle of mentalism, which is the idea that the all is mind and the universe is mental. And if we are just here living in this secondary reality that is almost this play put on by the all that is, was, and ever could be, if we are in this play, why shouldn't we have nothing short, or why shouldn't we have everything that we want in our lives? And not, of course, coming from a place of greediness, but there's no reason for us to not wake up to a life where we feel joyful, peaceful, excited, purposeful, and fulfilled. So here at Be the Hero Academy, we're here to help you create that by overcoming your anxieties, your feelings of being stressed out, overwhelmed, and being stuck. That's what we're here to help you do. So in this video, this is the final video to my video series all about the 7 Hermetic Principles of the Kybalion. Now, if you haven't watched the other videos in this playlist, I highly recommend you go do that, because it's really important for you to understand all the principles that came before this in order to understand this last principle. All the principles in the Kybalion, all the 7 Hermetic Principles really build on top of one another. And so while you will understand this video about the principle of gender well, it'll be best understood if you already have the precursor of knowing what the other principles are all about. On top of it, if you want to dive into more about how these principles came to be, what the root of this is, came from, check out my first video about who is Hermes Trismegistus, what is the Kybalion, and what are the 7 Hermetic Principles. But without further ado, let's dive into what this video is all about, which is what is the principle of gender. The principle of gender, according to the Kybalion by the 3 initiates, is gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. This principle, at one point in time, would not be controversial in any way. Apparently now it is a controversial thing to even be talking about masculine and feminine principles, and to be talking about gender particularly rather than the masculine and feminine principles is something that people can certainly have debate about in this day and age. But if anything, that debate is actually destroyed by this foundational Hermetic principle. Remember that Hermetic principle is the way that the universe finds order. These are the rules of nature, the rules of not even nature, the laws of the universe to create structure in this complicated and chaotic band of frequency that exists. So there's all this frequency band that exists. And in order for this to not just be, all in wave form, because if it's not particle, it's in wave. When something is more frequency, the higher the frequency, it becomes a wave, and the more it solidifies, the lower the vibration is, the more particle it's like, and that's how things materialize as matter. And in this frequency band of waves, where everything is in the free-flowing expression of energy, how are we supposed to live in somewhat of a structured universe? Well, the laws of the universe are how the all has manifested to create structure in the universe. And of course, the all sounds quite similar to God, and whatever it is all this foundation that creates the fabric in which we can all interact on our frequency band and beyond our frequency band. Our frequency band is the frequency band of the 3-dimensional reality, the world of our 5D senses, and the little bit of us that can tap into that 6th sense. And that 6th sense is where we start to sort of sense what's in the other parts of the frequency band that is the all. So coming back into the principle of gender, that gender isn't everything. Gender is not about your sexual orientation, the gender that you were given at birth. That is a byproduct of, that is a secondary, if not possibly a third level to this principle foundation, which is that everything has a masculine and feminine energy. A lot of people have debate about this because, not debate about this, but rather, there's a lot of discussion about if you were to tell a woman that she's very masculine, that would be offensive. And if you were to tell a man that he's very feminine, he would be offended by that too. And to some degree, each of them, if you told them you're very masculine, and a woman that she's very feminine, they could possibly be offended by that too. And it's quite silly because they are asking for, they're almost basing that logic off of the fact that for them to say that they are feminine means they are a woman. Well, there might be a correlation that a woman has more feminine energy and is predisposed towards a tendency to have a majority of feminine energy that feels like home to her. But it is rather the other way around. That feminine energy is one side of the yin and yang, and masculine energy is the other side. And from these two sides of the yin and yang symbol are then born from that, as the yin and yang symbol is met within itself, as the positive energy meets the negative energy, from that, what comes from that is the woman and the man. Those are secondary levels of the expression of feminine energy and masculine energy. And to say almost that we are giving feminine as a trait to the woman and masculine as a trait of the man, it's really the other way around. That being a woman is almost a trait of the feminine energy. And embracing a womanhood is a trait of the feminine energy. And to embrace your manliness is a trait of masculinity. Masculine and feminine energy are not particularly associated, like I said, with a sexual orientation. They are energies. And as we go into that, you'll also start to realize, of course, with the yin and yang, it's not just one side and one side. The feminine has the masculine within it, and the masculine has the feminine within it. So you as an individual, according to the principle of rhythm, principle of gender, and as you tune into yourself, and if you're far along your spiritual journey, you'll already notice this within yourself, which is that just because I am a woman, and if you're listening to this and you're a woman or a man, or whatever gender or sexual orientation you're listening to this as, it doesn't mean that you are just one energy. Everyone has both energies within them. Having one energy as the majority of your energy may feel like what is more home to you. And that's one thing that I want to touch on later as I dive into how to use this principle instead of being used by it. But there's going to be a natural place, a balance point in what feels like home to you. And that balance point of, let's say, 60% feminine energy and 40% masculine energy may feel like home to you. And as you evolve through your life, that set point, that place that feels like home may evolve and change. That does not correlate to the fact that your sexual orientation changes. Your body is just this vehicle and this vessel for you to express these energies. And it's a constant state of fluctuation. I can tell you personally, I definitely did not feel at home with my feminine energy for a long time. And at this phase in my life, and you might even be listening to this and thinking, I don't know, you still have quite a tone that is quite masculine. But at this phase in my life, in this decade, or maybe it only lasts 2 years, I feel more at home embracing a higher percentage of that feminine energy than I used to feel. And maybe vice versa for you, or depending on which way it goes for you, it doesn't really matter. But you have both within you, and the merging of these two energies is how things are created, generated, and born. In fact, all things in nature are created, generated, and born through the principle of gender. Remember that in the principles, the 7 Hermetic Principles don't just apply to our plane of existence. It applies to the physical plane, the mental plane, and the spiritual plane. And so it's not just you as this small entity within the greater all that is an expression of these energies. These energies are found in everything in the world, every natural thing in the world. And it's kind of funny because, there's this whole trend, now where, I have a Latina background, and like in Spanish, everything has a masculine or a feminine tense. And that Latin language was onto something. It is the fact that all things that are in this reality, all things with an energy field, all have a masculine and feminine energy to them. Oftentimes, they tend to be more feminine or more masculine. One energy cannot be both masculine and feminine energy, but all things have both. So feminine energy is feminine energy and masculine energy is masculine energy. But all things are born through the merging of the masculine and the feminine to procreate, to generate and produce. Now this shows in our world in many ways, like the fact that all atoms are the merging of the proton and the electron, which are literally the positive and the masculine, or positive and the negative energy itself. It is literally the positive associated, the positive polarity of energy is often associated with the masculine, and the negative polarity of energy is usually associated with the feminine. We have the poles, and through the poles we create magnetism. We have our earth exists through the polarity of the positive and the negative. The atoms are formed through the polarity, the duality of the merging of the positive and the negative. We can go further to the more spiritual plane of existence. That's our physical plane. That's how our physical plane manifests this polarity of gender, or this principle of gender. But we also have the fact that, do you ever think about how a lot of times in our spiritual communities, and even to some extent in many religions, we refer to the earth as the mother and the heavens as the father. We say Mother Gaia, Mother Earth, and we think of the heavens and the sky and the stars above us as the realm of the masculine. And through that, we create the realm in which we exist, somewhere between the sky and between the earth, between the heavens and the mother beneath us, creates our realm of where all human life and all things in our three-dimensional reality are born from that polarity between the masculine and the feminine. It goes further into this, physical traits. Another way to manifest on the physical level is that, all the things in our material reality tend to fall into, like I said, with the Spanish or the Latin language tenses are feminine, masculine. Well, we also have like gold and silver. Gold is traditionally associated with the masculine, and silver is traditionally associated with the feminine. You've got the sun and moon. Sun is traditionally associated with the masculine, and the moon with the feminine. But then you've also got the spiritual planes again. You have astrology. Astrology, remember, Hermes Trismegistus was said to be the founder of psychology, astrology, and alchemy. And this really makes sense when you see that the modern, astrology, the zodiacs, are all different archetypes. All of the archetypes are either masculine or feminine archetypes. That's not to say that if you're a Capricorn, you can't be masculine. Obviously, that's not what I'm saying. But the archetypes in general fall into a masculine predisposition or a feminine predisposition. The moon and sun fall into a feminine or to a masculine. And the interesting thing about the zodiac is it always alternates. It goes from a masculine type to a feminine type to a masculine type to a feminine type to literally create that balance, to create that polarity, to create that duality for us to be able to move through evolutions and be able to produce something in 2-month increments. Start to tune in now and notice that, do things tend to reach apex points not only on full moons, but do they reach apex points particularly on 2-month cycles? I don't know. This is just a thought process that I had as I was speaking right now. Maybe is something that has some validity to it. Now, maybe by now you're actually wondering, okay, I get it. There's masculine and feminine to everything, but what does it really mean to have a masculine energy? What does it mean to have a feminine energy? Or what does it mean for those energies to exist? What are the defining characteristics? And I think maybe there's some confusion here because, people throw around the word toxic masculinity. Frankly, there's toxic femininity in the world too. And those are not characteristic of these divine energies that are the root of creation. Literally, they are the half of the root of creation for us to be speaking out these energies. And so, if someone's going around saying like, oh, if you're like controlling, then you're masculine and you're toxic masculine. And if you're, someone who's marching in a feminist march or something, and you're trying to, frankly, embrace masculine traits in yourself, and then that's not necessarily you're not embracing femininity in that either. That's actually not feminine energy. So obviously we're living in a world where there's a very big confusion, particularly with the masculine energy as a whole. We're not quite sure what it is. People throw it around to and fro and actually are not connecting to the real essence of masculine energy. And at the same time, Feminine energy has been shown as a sign of weakness even amongst women, and so women are in denial of it. Men feel like they can't embrace that little bit that is really healthy for them, which is the element of being more emotional. So let's explain what that is then. Let's start with feminine. The feminine energy is all about being in the place of nurturance, acceptance, a little bit of passivity, but best explained as a go with the flow nature. The feminine, and many people discuss in like this conscious relationship circle, is about being in the receptive space of wanting to be led. We need to be in that space, because if everyone were to try to be the leader, nothing would ever get done. Being in that place of passivity is being in the feminine energy. When you're in that passivity, am I saying that word right? Maybe. Passivity, you have energy saved for you to now invest energy into taking care of the people around you. This doesn't always literally mean just being the mother to people, because this is where some people take on their feminine qualities and then feel used for embracing their feminine qualities. I'm talking to the women who are extremely nurturing, are there for everyone all the time. They do everything and they're always there for people. And then they feel like no one ever gives back to them. This is not even overusing your feminine qualities, but you're embracing your feminine qualities without inputting your yang within the yin. This is the part of you that now will have to embrace the masculine element to be assertive and make a request to help get your needs met, so that someone can nurture you and so that you can be the receiver of that feminine energy, because you can't do it all the time. That is why it's the yin within the yang and the yang within the yin. So the feminine quality is all about relaxing into life, being open, opening your heart, being nurturing, being caring, being creative and intuitive. And those are two very key important words, because the feminine energy gets a bad rap. I know I gave it a bad rap for a long time. I was what you'd call like a unintentional feminist. I would never say I'm a feminist, never would have said that. However, I definitely believe that the feminine energy, or I should say, I was an unintentional toxic feminist, where I thought, oh, being feminine, they're weak and like whatever, they can't do anything. And then I started to realize that the feminine energy is the chaos. It's the wave. It's not the particle. It's the wave. It's the free-flowing energy of existence. It's creativity that births all these crazy, beautiful ideas and beautiful artistry. That is feminine energy. That creativity, that intuition that knows something, that before it's going to happen, that knows that in your heart that something good is coming, or honestly gives you that bad feeling to like turn away from an opportunity before things get worse. That is all that feminine quality. Those are the amazing traits that a lot of women who do live in their feminine energy sometimes forget that they have to embrace too, or not have to embrace, but get to embrace. So yes, it's great if you're nurturing and caring and loving toward people in your life, but being in your feminine being in a feminine energy also means that you have to sit down and express your creativity, which requires you to not be running around doing everything for everyone else. It means you setting the standard for being this feminine human, really sending off the energy that makes people feel nurtured and cared for, is actually about you just being in your creative expression. And I see this literally. Do you ever think about how many moms don't let themselves do things for themselves? I know so many moms that we work with at Be The Hero Academy who they used to have creative hobbies a long time ago, and then they became moms and they became wives, and it's great, but they literally, from the moment that happens, they so often disconnect from their sense of self. Your connection to yourself is merged. The bridge to your sense of self is oftentimes through creativity. And by merging into your sense of self, just you being you is often the best thing you can do for the people around you. So being in the feminine energy, in conclusion, is all about caring, nurturing, supporting, but also about embracing your intuition, which means you gotta pause and not let yourself be stressed out and anxious all the time, and connect to the simple existence of life. Relax into life so that you can connect to your intuition and also start to make space for that creativity to shine forward again. Now let's go to the masculine side. The masculine side also has just as much confusion, because it's so confusing for men to be men in this day and age. There's so much societal programming that has gone into making the idea that really, for one thing, it's not even promoted anymore to be kind of be the leader, to be assertive, to be the man of the house, as in like you have a job, you are there to support the foundation for nurturance to build on top of that. That's not necessarily promoted anymore. That was definitely, many people would describe that as like oh, that's like old gender roles, right? And to some degree, old gender roles fulfilled the masculine better. To some degree, maybe even the feminine too, but I won't get into that. I'm not going to say back the old gender roles were the right way, because again, there's still secondarily third level manifestations of the true masculine energy. The masculine energy that you're trying to embrace and strive for is really having more to do with assertion, leadership, having a structure and security in place within your own emotional being and within your physical reality. Now that's a big one, because I think this is why it's so key to have your yin within your yang. If you don't embrace that feminine yin side within your yang, you're not going to be able to emotionally process. And if you don't process your emotions, then what happens? You take them out on other people. You take them out either in passive aggressive ways, you take them out on people even by being not emotionally available for the feminine energies in your life, by not even being able to listen to people in your life. You take that out on them because you haven't processed your own feelings. So that's why it's key to bring in your yin into your yang. That's what gives you your actual yang energy of being an emotionally stable person, because you've done the work to process your pain from your past. You've done the work to create a level of an emotional stability, which isn't just, I'm feeling emotionally detached from my life and therefore people can just say whatever they want to me and I won't react. That's not being emotionally stable. Being emotionally stable that you're really striving for is about being truly fulfilled in and of yourself. Feeling happy and proud of yourself so that you're not asking the world around you to fulfill your needs. You're not going around looking to your partner to give you affirmation and validation as a masculine, as a man. You're not looking to your career or to your friends or to your boss or your coworkers to give you the validation and affirmation you need to feel good about yourself. Reaching that emotional stability is about thinking about how you can be for yourself what you wish to receive from other people. And I'm not going to put this all on the masculine because the feminine has to do that too, but the bridge for the feminine has more to do with embracing that creativity, and for the masculine it's about more embracing that, or releasing the part of them that has been repressed, but releasing it in a way that's not being spewed onto other people. This is your healing journey, your self-development journey, not a conflict that you're trying to erupt onto other people. When you do that, I'm getting a little more into the how to do it now, but when you do that, you can embrace the qualities that will make you become this foundation for which all things can then be born from. The masculine is, many people describe, in modern science, and in the Kybalion, they use this example, the positive energy pole, the positive pole, which is the masculine pole, has a greater degree of influx. There's a greater degree of influence that positive masculine energy has. And I think this kind of applies to real life, to life too, to men and women. From there, the negative energies then cluster around the positive. Now I think about this more in a sense of think about like a group of people or a society, a government, not even a government. We're not touching on governments, but think about a community of people. The person who is of the masculine, the greatest embodiment of the masculine energy. And of course, we're drawn to the people who have the healthiest expression of that masculine energy because they are the people who are they have leadership qualities. They are grounded. They don't seem like they're on the verge of an emotional breakdown, or not emotional breakdown. They're not at the whim of their emotions. They have their emotions processed and under control because they are aware of them as they arise, and they're not going to take them out on other people. Those are the people that you're naturally drawn to as leaders. Granted, there's not that many of them, but that's obviously the ideal, that this negative, all these feminine energies, and I'm not even saying women in general. This isn't like, oh, all women are attracted to this one person. It's talking about when people are in the level of receptivity, when you're looking to a leader to guide you, you are stepping into your feminine energy, even if you're a man. And so negative energies form around this strong positive energy. So when you are in your capacity to embrace the best qualities of your masculine energy, it gives you the power to lead. You can lead your family, you lead your communities, you lead your friends, you can lead your city, your town, your business, you can lead your team. This is a key factor in helping the evolution of the entire collective of people to have the capacity to produce things. If the masculine can't step into the masculine energy and the feminine doesn't embrace the feminine energy at the same time, then how are they supposed to literally have this gender to create and produce and create and generate beautiful things? At the same time, coming away from that, those masculine and feminine roles for a second here, one interesting thing from a spiritual perspective is how you might have heard me talk about in other videos how, the law of attraction and some other laws, like the law of gravity, these are all laws that are like second level. That's why when I was saying us as beings are third level, it's because second level manifestation is that from these principles that rule the universe, that create the structure of the universe, you then have a secondary manifestation of these other laws, such as the law of attraction, which many of us, if you're listening to this video, you probably already know all about. And so the law of attraction, one thing I was interested in that I was reading about is how that is just an expression of the law of gender. And of course, law of attraction is actually, in many ways, the summarized law of all of the 7 Hermetic Principles summarized into one law, in a way. But the way it represents that it symbolizes the law of gender is because the feminine always attracts the masculine. And you may notice that anytime people are talking about the law of attraction, yes, there's a big part of law of attraction where you do have to have a clear vision for what you want, and you have to know how it's going to make you feel, but we've already crossed over into the feminine now. The vision, yeah, that's masculine. Masculine energy is to know what you want and what you're aiming for and have a clear target, but feminine energy is feeling and emotions. And most of the law of attraction, you may notice as you start to listen to this sort of philosophy, is that it is all about being open to receiving. And now, that is literally what feminine attracts masculine. It's an example of the principle of gender. Not only, that sentence in and of itself, the feminine attracts the masculine, is true in all manifestations. It's not just literally when people are trying to call in the partner that they want to manifest. The feminine attracts the masculine. Obviously, you drop the handkerchief and you attract the masculine. It's not just that. The feminine attracts the masculine, but it's also true in that when you want to manifest anything, you have to open your heart. You have to be relaxed into life. You have to receive the manifestations that you want. Feminine energy is the receiving of those blessings. The feminine is the attractor to the masculine. So the last thing I want to touch on before I get into my 3 tips for how to use this instead of being used by it is I want to dive into the psyche part again. You guys know that for me, the Hermetic Principles are, though it's super intriguing for me to sit in my room and contemplate the spiritual meaning of these laws, I think at the end of the day, it's important for us to implement these things because the way we change the collective is by changing ourselves. And we change ourselves by becoming the heroes of our own story, manifesting our best lives. Because when you want to manifest your best life, you overcome all the roadblocks and all the negative programmings that are in your mind right now along the way. And so the part I want to talk about with your psyche, in order for you to integrate this into yourself, is about noticing what place feels like home for you. I think a lot of people are living in a masculine feminine balance. Let's say this is majority feminine energy, this is majority masculine energy, are living in a space that doesn't feel like home. Maybe another way to explain it is that I think a lot of us don't embrace the qualities, the energies that we'd like to embrace. I'll use myself as an example. When I was explaining to you a little bit ago that I was an unintentional toxic feminist in the sense that I thought expressing emotions were bad, I shouldn't talk about my feelings, I shouldn't have feelings in the first place, I have to be strong and independent, I don't need anyone, all of those, right? I thought that was just being, I thought that was me. I'm just more masculine type of person, and I think a lot of women feel like that, especially like before they're in a relationship with people, where they are even given the opportunity to step into their feminine. And I used to definitely feel like, oh, this is normal, it's fine. But I think deep down, I did know I didn't like it. I wished I could be emotionally open with someone. I wished I could embrace the feeling of feminine is all about like relaxing into life. And I was never relaxed into life. I was always like, if I don't make it happen, it will not happen. If I don't push the needle forward, no one else will. She's definitely embracing, you know, like kind of the negative qualities of the masculine or in the fear sense. And so I don't think that that was really like what felt like home for me, because I felt shame for certain parts of them. So when I say to notice just where you're at feeling like home, maybe the other way to ask is to say, what parts of yourself or what you're yearning for do you feel ashamed of? I think that for the most part, everyone would actually be able to embrace both their feminine and their masculine better if we allowed for more feminine energy to pass through us, to be open to. If we literally allowed feminine energy to be open to it, and literally to open up to life and being a receiving and a relaxed sense of everything is working out as it should be, truly, not just saying that mantra, we would actually all be able to better embody our feminine with our masculine, and the masculines would actually be able to better embody their own masculinity. I think, like I shared earlier, explaining the masculine has to reach a sense of security and stability on the mental, emotional, and physical planes. Obviously, like physical planes is about building, literally like building a foundation of a home, whether that's a home, an RV, whatever place is a place where you can allow the feminine to come in and nurture things that you create. That's great. In your business, are you creating that space of, you know, are you holding the foundation of being a true leader and saying this is the plan and making sure everyone knows what's going on, and you're making everyone feel seen and heard enough for them to bring their gifts out in the business, right? That would be a way for you to embrace your own personal stability and security to help everyone else make the plan happen, to create that foundation for which things can then be born from. If you embrace that emotional side of the feminine, released it, healed it, processed it on a long-term basis, on a short-term basis, then you can show up for the world in that sense of stability, foundation, security, leadership, assertiveness, from a place of loving kindness truly, and trying to offer and create things in the world instead of trying to have it come out through you in unintentionally aggressive ways. Literally not even just, because obviously there's like the stereotype of the manly man who's like aggressive and like the worst aspect of the negative qualities of the masculine. But I think for most people it comes out in the desire for validation and affirmation, which is the negative way it gets funneled for most people. Embracing the feminine and the masculine is key. And then for the women, embracing the feminine is going to allow you to not feel so angry at the masculine part of yourself. I do believe that women are asked in this day and age they are being asked to embrace the masculine more than they have to be asked to. But I think it's okay, because I think women have the capacity to balance their 50-50 a little bit more. That even if they're being asked to be in their masculine 50% of the time, because they have to make all the decisions around the house, and then they have to decide when, do you want to go on the vacation on these days? Can you take care of the kids on this day? And you're being asked to be in that assertive, make all the decisions role. I think that for many women, they can handle it as long as they're getting that 50% of being in their feminine energy of being creative, intuitive, and just connected and relaxed into life. But how often does that really happen? Integrating with these two energies means you need to look into yourself and ask yourself, what parts of your day do you get angry about? What parts do you wish you got to do more of? Do you wish you got to be open emotionally with your partner more? Do you feel angry that doesn't happen? If you're in the masculine, if you're a man, do you feel the frustration that you have a lot going on internally, but that you feel like you're going to be seen as weak if you share that with other people? Notice what parts of yourself you're yearning for and getting angry about, or the things that you do have to take care of and have to do that you're frustrated about. And then start to notice the things that you want more of, the things you want less of, and what you feel ashamed of. So that leads me into the tips. How to use this principle instead of being used by this principle. Ask yourself, what parts what energy you get to live more of your life in, what energy you're living more of your day in. Itemize your day and go through it and notice this was masculine, this was feminine, this was masculine, this was feminine. And regardless of which way you answer it, now tally how good they felt. 10, this was great. 1, this sucked. I hated that I have to deal with this. This was like a 7, this was fine, this is mediocre. When you go through that, then you'll start to notice what energies feel good for you. This is going to help you connect back to what feels like home in your own being. 2, put it into practice. Tip number 2 is to actually allow yourself now to create a new schedule with a new space to do the thing that you are wishing you got to do. If this was like, if in the feminine example, let's say you are that person who is like, I'm sick and tired of being the person who feels like I need to do everything, make all the decisions. I have to make things happen or else nothing good happens to me. Allow space in your life to just be in receiving. Maybe go to a yoga class, maybe go get a massage, maybe even just do a basic girl self-care, go get a pedicure, whatever it is. I don't care how you nurture yourself, but allow yourself to be the receiving end. Or go do something creative. Connect to your authentic self through the process of creativity. If you are on the masculine side, if you feel like there's not a healthy space, for you to embrace your masculine side, for you to embrace that a little bit more of that assertive side, maybe get into like a martial art, or maybe it's that you want to embrace more of your feminine side. Maybe it's that you don't want to have this space for you to be able to express emotionally. Maybe you can talk to a partner or to a really, close friend, or maybe to your parents or your mom or something, and ask if you can make a request, particularly, if this is your relationship, make a request to start to develop an emotional connection or have more emotional conversations so that you can release what's being pent up inside of you before it blows up. Obviously, there's a lot more room for like the possibilities of what you can work on depending on where you're feeling shame in your masculine, in your feminine, or what you want more of on either side. There's so much room here. That's why we have, coaching programs and group coaching inside Be the Hero Academy. If you want support on finding a way to design that next evolution of how to move past your own shame and pain, then definitely you should join the VIP Academy. Be the Hero Academy has a VIP Academy that you can join for free, where you get access to our core curriculum, which helps you deconstruct your childhood program and your childhood wounds. And you also get a free discovery call, a free 30-minute discovery call with either me or Robin inside Be the Hero Academy. So if you're someone who's struggling with this pain or shame, and you need a little bit more of external guidance, sign up for a discovery call or join Be the Hero Academy, and we'll see how we can help you. Now, last but not least, and my favorite one that I've been saving to talk about until the end, is to develop a polarized healing strategy, a polarized growth strategy. I hosted a webinar a while back called the Empowered Warriors webinar, and I explained how essentially important it is for you to create your best life, to create, generate, and produce your best life, a life that you're excited to wake up to. You have to have a masculine and a feminine healing role. You have to have a process to go through both of those things. What do I mean by that? Well, you see, a lot of people are on this healing side of things where they're actually too much in the feminine side of healing, where there's so much emphasis on self-care and breathwork and meditation. Those are great things. I'm not saying they're not. They're essential. But sometimes we overuse those to a fault, because if you don't have a vision, a plan, and a strategy for the life that you would like to build instead, then all the healing in the world will get you nowhere. So I'm asking you right now to use, if you're listening to this video and you have no intention to change your life, well, this isn't going to help you, and unfortunately you will probably stay exactly where you are, even if you're not in a life you're excited to wake up to. However, I think that if you're listening to this video right now, there's something more that you want in life. Even if it's just, I want to wake up feeling a little bit more joyful. I want a little bit better connection with my relationship. I want a little bit more fulfillment in my career. I'd like to have a little bit more abundance. I want more time, more freedom. Whatever it is, I know you want something. And if you do, I want you to listen closely. You need masculine and feminine. You need to create a blueprint for the life you'd like to create in order to create it. Now, building your blueprint can be overwhelming, which is why we have a whole free 5-day training called Your Best Life Blueprint. We hosted it about 2 months back, but you can still get access to this training by checking out the link down below, and you can watch the training videos on how to build a strategy and a plan for your best life. It helps you figure out how to create a clear picture for what those desires really are. Now, on the feminine side of things, you need to heal. If there's something that you want and you haven't processed all the things that have brought you to this moment in your life right now, then you'll probably not be able to make progress towards that future reality. You have to make room in order to fill your life with new things. And we do that by doing primarily a huge part of it is our Tell Your Story program and our guided breathwork sessions. This is what we do inside of our coaching programs inside Be the Hero Academy. We have a full masculine and feminine approach to help you have the bounce back, the masculine, the feminine, the masculine, the feminine, going through the process as you're trying to get to where you want to be, because we know how important it is for you to release to make room for the new. So that's why we guide you through breathwork. We take you through your best life blueprint, get step by step. And then we also do things like helping you to process and recognize the story that you might not realize of how you've arrived here in your life. Alright, that wraps up my video all about the principle of gender and officially wraps up my series about the 7 Hermetic Principles. Let me know in the comments below what part of the Hermetic Principles and what part of the Kybalion has got you thinking the most. I can make more videos about this, and I look forward to making more videos about the other aspects that are within the Kybalion, because believe it or not, there's actually more depth that I did not touch on. Do you want to know something crazy? Most of what I talked about, I didn't even read the full detail breakdown chapters of these books because I already had so many thoughts about what these principles mean on a spiritual, mental, and psychological level. So let me know in the comments down below. Also, let me know what you thought about this video, the principle of gender, because I'm sure I said something that was offensive to somebody, because dare I say that there are 2 genders of energy that exist in the world, but according to the Hermetic Principles, that's the case. So if you did like this video, be sure to like this video. If you like our channel and you don't subscribe already, be sure to hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time on Be the Hero Academy.